What's up, people? Welcome to this episode of Stack Sats or Die Trying. This is the Bitcoin Only Show brought to you by the Hood, and I'm your host as always. My name is Jimmy. Listen, I want to send a special shout out to everybody who supports the show, supports By the Hood and everything that we have going on. I want to send an apology for our last couple Fridays. We did not do our Friday live show. A lot going on in our personal lives. In terms of, for one, the camp was the week before, and then last week I had a personal engagement. I told my young niece that I would make her recital for her ballet. So, family always comes first. But we will be back pretty soon, coming to our Friday live. But every week I'm still dropping Stack Sat show. I gotta drop that, whether it's a short show, long show. Gotta talk about Bitcoin. It's my favorite thing to talk about in the whole world. So I'm going to do that. Special shout out to all of the audio listeners. I appreciate the feedback from the audio show. But again, this is the Bitcoin Only Show. And what I want to talk about today is, time preference, but also people who try to time the market. So, our market has been down over the last couple of weeks, which is funny to say down. We're at damn near 60 grand a coin. But anyway, anytime this has happened over the last however many years, I say people started listening to me and really buying probably in like 2017. So 7 years or so. But anytime we have a significant drop in the market, I get text messages, phone calls. Yo, what's going to happen? We coming back? Should I sell? And it's always the same thing. Cut it off. Go find a game on your phone to play. Go watch some Netflix. Just leave price action alone. Don't worry about it. Stack Sats or Die Trying, as is the name of our show. And a couple things I saw this week outside of the phone calls and things that I get when the market. Here's the other crazy part about it. When the market drops, I get the frantic phone calls. When the market is going up, that's when I get calls and things from people who are not even in the space who say, I want to buy. And it's just, I've talked about this on the show before. It's just that psychology of buying when it's high and selling when it's low is literally the opposite of what you're supposed to do. But people do it, right? So it is what it is, man. But let me share my screen for those that are watching the video, whether you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube, because, by the way, we do put this on our Facebook channel as well, facebook.com/bythehood. It also streams on our YouTube channel. That's where most of our, a lot of people watch on YouTube. But believe it or not, our highest number of people that listen to this show or any of our shows is always audio. So a lot of y'all, I guess you're in the gym or at work. Hopefully, listening to some of this make your work day go by faster. But let me share a couple things. And this first actual slide that I want to share is interesting because it has nothing to do with Bitcoin per se, but it's the thought process that goes into this, right? And this was about the actual stock market. Because if you guys, know the actual stock market itself, kind of fell off a cliff recently. And this was a post that I saw. I thought was interesting, and I wanted to share on Stack Sats for a reason. So this is talking about the S&P 500, but he says, a lesson this week on market volatility and attempting to time the market. The S&P 500 closed last Friday at 5,346, and today closed at 5,344. Measured weekly, it was ho-hum less than 1/10 of a percentage point difference. But during the week, sometime on Monday, the index was as low as 5,119. That's over 4% down, then back up for the week. But your money started and ended the week at effectively the same balance unless you bought or sold shares. If you were invested in an S&P index fund like VFIAX or VOO. The moral is you can't pay attention to the swings in the market. They will give you nightmares. That last sentence is everything. It says the moral is you can't pay attention to the swings in the market because they will give you nightmares. I thought this was a timely post. It can apply to what we talk about with Bitcoin. It can apply to the S&P or even just your regular stock portfolio, whatever it is. Like, stop trying to time the market. Don't pay attention to swings and things of that nature because it's going to do nothing but just cause you a headache. Unless you are getting paid to be in the market, practicing arbitrage. If you're stacking and whatever it is you're stacking, just focus on the stack. You've done your homework, right? Which is why I say one of the reasons that we do this show is to tell people to do their homework. If you've done your homework and you have an understanding of whatever asset it is you're buying, just keep buying. Do not try to time the market. You will drive yourself crazy. It took me a long while to get there, but I'm so like convinced and have an understanding of Bitcoin that I don't even care about price. All I do is stack sats. All I do is stack sats. And I don't care about market volatility because, again, I'm playing such a long game. At this point, it's funny. I was talking to my nephew yesterday, and I was, just have Bitcoin conversations with him and talk about assets and saving and things of that nature. I'm playing a generational game now. This is even beyond me. So what I'm doing is trying to change the trajectory of multiple lives with the decisions and the things that I do while I'm here on Earth for whatever time I'm here on Earth for. So that was the first thing, which was in reference to the S&P 500, but it applies to Bitcoin as well. Stack sats, don't worry about the noise. A lot of that stuff is noise. And when you get caught up in the noise, you end up making mistakes, right? So here's something else that I saw on Twitter, which goes kind of to this point, right? And this comes from @Sunny051488. And he's talking about DCA versus lump sum buying, right? So for those who don't know what DCA is, that is dollar cost averaging, is when you're taking a certain amount of money at whatever interval it may be, whether you're buying once a week, once a month, once a quarter, once every 6 months, once a year, whatever that DCA is for you, whatever your dollar cost average, you take that amount and you just buy it over time. That's the way that we tell most people to practice buying whatever asset it is, because when you try to time the market, it just makes it too difficult. I know a lot of people are proponents of taking lump sums and just buying. And I've read data that says each one of those works, but as it pertains to Bitcoin, most of the time what I see is the DCA works better. But I just be completely honest and transparent. I have read an academic paper on lump sum buying, but that also, to my opinion, depends upon when you do that lump sum buying. But again, this comes from @Sunny051488. He says, this is not investment advice. This is a savings advice. 58K analysis of DCA versus one-time all-in lump sum. If you went all in with 10K USD at the first time Bitcoin hit 58K back in February 21st, 2021, you would have now gone nowhere, and your 10K is still 10K, but lost purchasing power due to inflation, but you own 0.1724 Bitcoin. If you did a DCA plan starting at the first time it touched 58K, which is, you do $10 a day and stop once you invested all 10K, you would be plus 22%, and you would also own 0.3343 Bitcoin. If you forgot about the DCA and kept going, then as of yesterday, you're plus 84% and you own 0.3834 Bitcoin. So after 1,269 days, which is 3.48 years, of first hitting 58K, the lesson is that if you were going to time entries with your lump sum, there is a chance you will end up with a lower return and a lower amount of Bitcoin. The second and even more important lesson, in my opinion, is to keep saving in Bitcoin regardless of timed entries or all-ins. It's never going to be up, only from the day you decide to do Bitcoin for the long term. Let's see how 4 full years will have performed come February 2025. Salute to him for his posts, for the math and doing this. There's a lesson to be learned here too in all assets. And again, we're talking about Bitcoin because this is stack sats or die trying, but do not try and time the market. Just spend time in the market. Stack your sats, keep stacking your sats, and just be consistent with it. Believe you me, consistency and discipline is more important. Most people that I find who are in this space, they just want to be the smartest person in the room. And the funny thing about Bitcoin, Bitcoin doesn't care how smart you are. Bitcoin is going to do what Bitcoin does. It's the most valuable asset known to man. You just want to accumulate as much as possible, right? When we think about real estate, and everybody knows that I feed my family on real estate. Real estate is actually how I make money to buy Bitcoin. And it's funny because I was such a real estate guy. I was, been in the business for so long. I have a whole different perspective on real estate. And I've always talked about this on the show. I still believe land has value. Land will always have value. But to me, real estate is another minor for me at this point, right? My paradigm is kind of shifted where I talked about this. Rental properties are nothing but minors, right? And if I do a development and I'm selling, I am fiat mining to be able to buy more sats. So my real estate leads to Satoshis, right? So that's what it does. But whatever that asset is, you just want to do your homework. Once you understand it, stack as much as humanly possible. Stack as much as humanly possible. Because going back to the real estate analogy, if I talk about property in Manhattan or property in Beverly Hills, or any of the locations that you deem to be valuable locations, if I told you right now that you can go back 50, 60, 100 years and buy that land for dirt cheap now that you know what it's become, what would you do? And ask yourself that question. I already know what the answer is, right? If I tell you that you can go back and have, your great great grandfather buy up all the land in Manhattan, I'm not going to get into the socioeconomic issues that prevented some of us from buying. I'm not going to get into that. But what I'm saying is, if you had the ability to tell, previous members of your family that they can go back and buy all the land in Beverly Hills, all the land in Manhattan, all the land in Dallas, all the land in Philadelphia Center City, the Central Business District, all the land in DC, would you just say, nah, I'm cool? Or would you tell them to go back and DCA as much land as possible, right? This is what we're talking about when we talk about Bitcoin, right? When you think about the future and you think about what this has the ability to become, because at the end of the day, they're never going to stop printing money. And if you price anything in BTC, like we've done on previous episodes, go back and check out the entire body of work of Stacks Sats and Dot Trying. We went through comparing anything priced in Bitcoin, right? So when you get that full understanding, I start to laugh at other investments. Other investments are actually funny to me. I don't care about that. Just give me more sats. Just give me my sats, man. All I want is my sats. So, and speaking of Bitcoin, let me speaking of real estate, rather, let me share something else with you guys that I happened to see and I thought was also interesting. We're going to end the show on this note, but I think this is real interesting, right? This is at Bitcoinization, right? I put up this post. He said, in 2015, I sold 800 BTC to buy a house for my family. In 2018, I sold my house and bought back 50 BTC. People who think I'm crazy for selling my house, please know that my only regret is to have sold my Bitcoins. Investment in real estate is now garbage compared to Bitcoin. Craziest part about that is he wrote this in 2019, August 13th, 2019. Here's something about my maturation or understanding of the Bitcoin space. Back in 2019, if I would have saw this, I would have argued with him. Even though I was already in Bitcoin for 3 years at this point. I got in Bitcoin in 2016, so 2019, I would have been in for 3 years. I would have still argued his point here. In 2024, I totally get it. I totally get it. I understand the power of liquidity. I understand the power of not just liquidity, but the ability to move with my property in a different way. So to me, Bitcoin plays a role in I go back to previous episodes when I called Bitcoin the king of all assets, because Bitcoin is real estate, right? Bitcoin is money. Bitcoin is property. All of the assets that I grew up studying and wanting to acquire, I realize now are all encompassed into one thing known as Bitcoin. So just interesting. I want to share those thoughts with you guys. This is my time to ramble. One of the reasons I love doing the Stacks Sats or Die Trying show is because all I do is read about Bitcoin and real estate all day long. And this gives me the ability to kind of like just share my thoughts with you guys, whether you like them or not, because I think this body of work is something that I'm going to be able to look back at. I always think about the future generations of my family. And I have this playlist on this YouTube channel called Stacks Sats or Die Trying. So, just go, I'm going to tell people in my family, just go watch this playlist and continue to stack sats. If I'm no longer here, continue to stack sats, watch this playlist, and you'll understand the value of Satoshis. And I'm going to share this, share my journey with you guys as I learn more. I'm still doing a lot of reading. I'm rereading Broken Money by Lynn Alden right now. Always a great book. I'm picking up new things. Rereading books is also powerful as well. And specifically in the Bitcoin space, I would say Broken Money is one that you got to read and reread. And the Bitcoin Standard is, for us Bitcoiners, that's like our Bible, right? No disrespect to anybody else. I'm just saying that's the one. So those are ones you should read and reread, right? Eventually, I'm going to write a book too. It's called Stacks Sats or Die Trying. My book is going to have a lot of slanguage in it, a lot of hip hop references. We're gonna be talking about everything from mine is gonna be a little bit different than what you see in the mainstream. Let's put it that way. And for those who think I'm joking, I've written 2 books, by the way. Go read my book called Sports the Book, and it's my take on the sports, and you'll see just how my mind works and how crazy it is. And then you'll see what my Bitcoin book is going to look like. It's not going to look like anything out there. I'm not giving a thesis, trying to get a PhD. I'm going to be talking crazy. We're going to be talking about ladies of the evening. We're going to be talking about real estate. We're going to be talking about, pop culture. It's going to be all over the place, but it's going to always come back to stacking these sats, because that's what we're about, man. We got to stack these sats. You dig? I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. I'll start pumping out more content on our YouTube and Facebook pages. Kind of fell back from that because I'm out here actually fiat mining. I want to stack as many sats as humanly possible. It's to the point now, right? And you can go into the description or the show notes and you can see all the various games that I put up there. As I sit on the couch just to chill or bust a grub or watch TV, I'm playing Bitcoin games. And the funny thing about it is, a lot of people in my family and friends say, you got a sickness. And I'm like, nah, y'all got a sickness because y'all ain't out here stacking sats. I think something wrong with y'all. Ain't nothing wrong with me, something wrong with y'all. Anyway, man, I appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Give me some feedback. Leave me some comments. Show me some love. Share this out with y'all family and friends. And tell them, as I always tell you, remember the name of the game, stack sats or die trying. Peace.